Good morning, Father Jorge.
Oh God, here we go again. Hello, Father Francisco. How are you doing?
Doing wonderfully. Well. How are we this week, Jorge?
Not bad, thank you. Just starting the week with a bit of sense of humor over here, and I'm pretty sure that if our followers are following us, those loyals, probably they know what this joke is about, and they probably guessing a little bit what the theme of our talk today is going to be, isn't it?
Well, I guess it has to be do with religion. But why don't we get some music before we unveil our
Of
topic for this
course,
week?
by all means. We'll be back in a second. Hello again, everybody. To wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Here we are again, Francisco, in the other side of the waves and the screen. Me here in our offices, trying to make another chapter of this incredible, wonderful, fantastic, world known podcast called Spanish Loops. Hola, Father Francisco.
Hola, Father Jorge. You
So
fool.
yes, as you might guess, our topic today is going to be religion as well. But religion in let's put it in a technical way. Okay, we're not
Mhm.
going to get deep into in this case Catholic religion. By the way, I have to say that this topic is being brought up by one of our listeners, Mary Silverman, that she doesn't say in her email where she's writing from. Would love to know, but her granddaughter is here in Spain. They're not Catholics, and obviously Spain is not a Catholic country anymore, but by tradition we are. There's many churches, most of the festivities are religion related, but it's because of the tradition. So this young lady that she's studying here, she has learned a lot with this parts of the world regarding the culture, and because they are not Catholics, they just suggested if we could make something about it, just explaining what things are. So Francisco and I, we've been brainstorming a little bit about how to afford this topic, and we have decided, Francisco, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've decided to explain this. I think it was a corporation. Is that right?
There we go.
Yeah.
We have decided to try to explain the hierarchy of the
Yeah.
church, of the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
like if it was a company, like if it's like a big corporation.
So, as any big corporation must have a CEO.
There we go.
We're not
We
laughing
do have
about
a
anything. We're laughing among ourselves, okay?
yes, please don't be offended. We
No,
just
no, no.
two fools, but it's to try to make similarities so people who are
Yeah,
not
of course.
acquaintance with this
Hmm.
vocabulary can know. So the CEO of Catholic Church, it is, of course, the Pope.
The Pope.
The Pope is the head of the Catholic Church.
Hmm.
And by the way, he's also the Bishop of Rome. Okay. He is the successor of St. Peter, okay, one of
Hmm.
Jesus Christ's apostles, the one who, after Jesus Christ's death, leads the faith of Catholicism, okay, of Christianity. Uh, so he is the one who leads all Catholics worldwide. Okay. He is, as you say, the CEO of the church. Okay?
Okay, put it in common words. The big boss.
The
Let's put
big
it that
boss.
way.
But he is the spiritual father. Okay, he is the one that is leading us into what the rules are on and on and on. Okay.
Francisco, may I ask you a
Mhm.
question, please?
Yeah.
Is it true that besides being the head of the Catholic Church, he is also the president of one of the tiniest countries in the world?
There we go. He's the president of the Vatican.
Okay. Prime
Right.
Minister or President, however you want to say
Well,
it.
I don't know the political title because he's president, he's prime minister. That one I don't know. You got me
Well,
in that.
anyway, he's the also the boss of the that mini country, which is
There we go.
inside of the city of Rome, as we all know.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that is the Pope. That's the big boss.
Hmm. So, who could be the vice president in this case?
Vice President. we do not have a vice president because on a company, when the president disappears or in politics, the vice president takes over. Here we don't. When the Pope dies, we are going to have a concilium, okay, and
Uh-huh.
we are going to have um, a conclave. Sorry, not a concilium, a conclave,
Uh-huh.
where we are going to decide who is going to be the next Pope.
Well, you
Okay?
mean those people that they are reunited inside of the 16th chapel?
There we go. And those are the cardinals, okay?
Uh-huh.
Which is the members of the board of direction, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I
So
understood it perfectly. Yeah.
the cardinals are assigned by the Pope,
Uh-huh.
okay? And they're the closest advisors to the Pope, okay? They're like the board of directions. They are the people who brings everything from the outside to him, okay? That's their
Hmm.
job. And their job, it is also to elect the new Pope, okay? That's when we have the conclave. And when a Pope dies, is when they get all together in the Sixtine Chapel and they vote, and it's when we have the Fumata Bianca, the white smoke, okay, the Bemus Papam, and we have a new Pope.
But isn't
Uh,
any charges in between?
the thing is that the, the cardinals are a special thing, okay, because
Yeah.
they they talk directly to the Pope, okay, that's their job,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, Under the Pope, what we're gonna find are the bishops, okay.
Oh, all right. So under the Pope are the bishops.
There we go. So the cardinals are different. The cardinals are the advisors to the Pope and are the ones who will elect a new Pope. Under the Pope, we're going to find a bishop. A bishop,
Uh-huh.
let's say, is the regional manager of the company. Okay.
Okay.
The bishop is a priest. All of them, they have to be priests.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
And they have received the fullness of the sacrament of the holy orders. That's what they have done. Which means they are in charge of a diocese, a group of little churches,
Hmm.
okay, of little parishes. The bishop conglomerates all of them. And if any of this parish has a problem, they will talk directly to the bishop, okay?
Okay. So, but Francisco, I'm a little bit confused now. I've also heard that there are archbishops in many places. So bishops, they have that power, regional
Mhm.
power. So if the boss, let's put it this way, okay, in common words, if the boss is a pope, then you told me that the cardinals that they have direct line with them without bypassing the bishops.
Mhm.
Where in this puzzle are the archbishops?
Okay, so if the bishop is the regional manager, the
Uh-huh.
archbishop, let's say, is the senior regional manager, okay?
Okay.
Uh, okay, an archbishop, I don't want to say it's more than a bishop. It's a bishop with extra responsibilities. Normally, it's when you have very strong or very important dioceses. Okay, like you're gonna find an archbishop in cities like Madrid. You're gonna find an archbishops in New York. You're gonna find, when you have a huge, much stronger settlement or many other parishes, the archbishop is going to be controlling all of that. It's a larger
Mhm.
area. He's going to have what is called a province, una provincia. Okay,
Ah,
so
okay.
the
Mhm.
bishop and the archbishop are pretty much the same, but the archbishop has a stronger diocese. Let's try to make it that a little bit. Okay,
Okay. And who is the one who sits on the cathedral? The bishop
okay.
or the archbishop?
Both of them. Okay, the
Oh,
thing
can
is
be
that
both. Can be both.
because in some places there's an archbishop, but there's not a bishop.
Okay. Right.
Okay, because a bishop, an archbishop, it's like a bishop with more responsibilities.
Right.
And the one who sits in the cathedra, okay, the cathedra is the chair of
Of a
the
cathedral.
bishop,
Yeah.
okay, and it is cathedra gives the name to cathedral,
Right.
okay, but a cathedra is also the chair where, oh gosh, what's the name of the highest level of teacher in college?
Principal.
Like no, a professor.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to sit in a cátedra. Okay,
Okay. Right.
that's why in Spanish we say catedráticos.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it's the chair where you sit to share the knowledge. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the bishop is going to sit in the cátedra, and the house of the cátedra is the cathedral.
Hmm.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. It is a corporation. It is a
Yes.
corporation. My goodness.
Mhm.
The amount of tiers that you have, all these levels, etc., etc. Um, Francisco, it's not that I want to get you in any of this, but if any, I'm getting I mean, everything that you said is crystal clear to me
Okay.
now, but there's something I don't fix it, or I cannot fix it in, which is the when you are in a monastery, for instance, okay, you don't have a cardinal, you don't have a bishop there, you don't have an archbishop, you have the monks that they, I mean, as far as I know, there are two categories. One is the abbot, and the other
Mhm.
is the prior. Yeah, the prior. That's in English, right? Um, Okay, and also there is another question later on that I want to ask you, but is
Okay.
regarding these charges. What's the difference? What their role?
Okay. So we need to go back to the 12th century. The 12th
Hmm.
century is in Christianity, in here in Europe, it's when we start having Benedictines, the Augustine monks, who are looking for more isolation and back to the roots. And it's when ora et labora,
Yeah.
pray and work, right?
Uh-huh.
And this is when the monasteries, they were created, okay? And the monasteries, they need somebody who, I don't want to say is the boss, but somebody who is going to lead all of this family because they
Hmm.
become like a family. Okay. And in the head of the family, we're going to have the father. And the father comes from the Latin word abba, abba, abbot. Okay. So
Abba.
the,
How will you spell Abba?
exactly the way you know, Waterloo, Mamma Mia. Exactly what you're thinking. ABBA. I never
Okay.
thought that talking about religion, we're gonna be singing Mamma Mia. But
Here
yes,
we go
it comes from
again.
Abba. Okay, Abba is father,
Yeah.
and the father is the Abba, the abbot.
The
Okay, so
Abbot.
he is
Okay.
the leader of a monastery. Okay, and he's going to
Only
be
of that congregation.
of that congregation. And here there's a little trick because in the monasteries, the the friars, the monks, are the ones who are going to vote or are going to elect the abbot.
Okay, and that abbot is just for that monastery or a group of monasteries?
It is a monastery. It is
Just
from a monastery.
just one single monastery charge.
There we go. The thing
Okay.
is that the way monasteries they were created, we have a father or a mother, if it's women's, okay,
Yeah.
a monastery, and this is the father monastery, and the father monastery is going to have a sibling, and that sibling is going to have another sibling. So people from this abbot, from this abbey or this monastery, they will go and construct another one, and these ones they will split and make another one. That's how the monasteries spread all around Europe on the 12, 13, 1400s.
Okay.
Okay.
What about the priors?
So the prior, let's say it's the second in command. Okay. It's right under the abbot. Uh, there are some smaller communities. Obviously, there are some smaller monasteries where there's no abbot. And the prior is the one that is going to rule. If we do have an abbot and a prior, the prior is going to take care more of the day-to-day life in the monastery issues. Okay,
Everyday living issues. Yeah.
there we go. More, the abbot will dedicate to the spiritual part, and the prior will go to the more technical. And we have to change the kitchen. We need something. We need this. We need that. So the prior, yes, it is the assistant director to the abbot. No, the prior to the abbot. Okay.
And then they say the third line would be the monks
And then the monks. Yeah. And inside of the monks, we're going to have different names.
levels.
I mean, you can have the door the door uh, friar or the door monk. This one is very important because he is or she is going to be the one who has direct contact with the exterior. Many of
Mm-hmm.
these monasteries, they were enclosed. They were not coming out. So the person who was at the door, he is the person who has connections with the outside and knows what's going on outside and knows the prices of wine. So can we put a little higher the price of wine? So the doorman had a very strong power.
Mm-hmm.
But also in the monasteries, we have to talk that we're talking before Gutenberg's print.
Mm-hmm.
The monks who knew how to write,
Yeah,
they were
those
very
huge big
important.
books. Yeah.
Okay, so the enlightenment of the writings, of those beautiful decorations. So in the monasteries, there were different levels and different jobs and different things that they could do.
Okay, so now I have a question for you, which is not the one I was telling earlier, because you mentioned something really important. The person that was in charge of the door, okay, you said he or she. People have the misconception that a monastery is for monks and a convent is for nuns. Can you clarify that, please?
We can have convents and monasteries, men and women. To make a
Men or women?
men or women, yes, yes, not mixed. Thank you.
Important.
Important. What would be the difference? To make it a little bit easy, I would say convents are inside of cities, monasteries are more isolated.
Mhm. That's the original concept.
That's the original concept.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. And now, Francisco, this is the question, the $1 million questions, which is
Okay.
there is a charge in all this, which is called the name chaplain.
Okay. Okay. That
Who,
is a
who is that? Who is that person? Could be a
who,
man, could be a woman. Is it in a monastery? Is it in a church? In a parish? In a where?
none of the above. None of the above. Okay. A
Ah,
chaplain, it is, it comes, the name chaplain from chapel.
oh,
Okay.
okay.
And a chaplain, it is a priest that originally was on a chapel. You have to understand that in all of these cathedrals, when our listeners, you guys come to Europe, you go to the cathedral, you have the main altar, and normally behind the main altar, you have the ambulatory, all of these places where you can walk around, and you have tiny little chapels. All of those tiny little chapels, they were privately owned by wealthy people, the
Mm-hmm.
bourgeois,
Yeah.
or the novelty, or the royalty of Spain, or France, or wherever you are in Europe. And all of these little chapels, you can have your own priest celebrating mass for you in that chapel. And
Uh-huh.
those ones, this special priests, they are called chaplain. Okay. A lot of people may say chaplain with Chaplin, like Charles Chaplin. Chaplain, it is Chaplain, chaplain. Okay.
Chaplain. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is the origin of the chaplain. But the thing is that when you have a special place, a place that only gathers a specific group of people,
Mm-hmm.
that's a chaplain. For example, the militaries. In the army,
Yeah.
the priest that is going to be there, by tradition, is going to be a chaplain. On a university, if you have a university, a Christian university, it's not going to be a priest. It's going to talk only with the students, so that is a chaplain. In hospitals, for example, here in Spain, in many hospitals, you have a chapel, and the priest who takes care of that chapel, who is to take care of the sick people or the companions of the sick people, is a chaplain. Even in prisons. Okay, so wherever you have
Mm-hmm.
a reduced group of people that a priest can talk to or pray with,
Yeah.
that is going to be a chaplain.
How interesting. And who designates that person?
Or I would say that is the bishop. That's one I don't know. Back then, obviously, Middle Ages, when
Yeah.
the origin of it, you know, you have the chapel. you want it, or the people, the wealthy people, they want to have the chaplain somebody from their family. Or you want
See.
your uncle or your nephew or somebody you like, somebody from your trust, somebody that is very close to you is going to be the chaplain of your private chapel. Today, I would say would be the bishop.
Hmm. So, okay, we have talked about the tiers of this corporation, okay, and
Uh-huh.
also the branches.
Okay.
Among everything which is under the same umbrella, what would you, in your opinion, because I have no much clue about it, only what I was forced to learn when I was a kid in the dictatorship of Franco, we had to be Catholics whether we liked it or not.
Hmm.
Okay. Of course, I had to learn many things, you, Francisco, and me, about many other cultures and religions because of our job. But I have to say that regarding Catholic religion, all these, I've learned a lot today with everything that you said, but I couldn't tell just by myself who would be the lowest scale of the all this amount of tiers that we have in this
Well,
hierarchy of the church.
that would be the priest of your parish. That okay, on a hierarchy level,
Yeah.
he's the less important,
Uh huh.
but that's if we're talking about a company, okay, a big corporation, but he or she, okay, but he, the, the priest of your parish, he's the one that is going to talk to you. So he is the person who has a direct connection with the Christian world. So
Okay.
on a CEO, on a company related, he would be the lowest part, but on a daily religious basis, he's the most important one because chances are that I'm not going to be able to talk ever with the Pope.
Right. So it's
Okay,
like a part of the big machine that is that
there we go. I mean,
corporation, and if it doesn't have that little screw, it won't work.
no, no. I
But
mean,
that screw, there's so many
let's
like
not
it.
put them as a screw.
Yeah.
They're the whole wheel.
Yeah. The whole, that's
So,
what I meant. I
I mean,
mean,
it's like
that tiny little
without,
screw
there we
is
go.
part of the whole thing that makes it work.
There we go. I mean, without our base priest, the one that is the priest from your parish, there will be no need for bishop, archbishops, or popes. Right? So
Hmm. Makes
they are the
sense.
ones who talk to us, and they're the ones who filter from the bottom up and from the top down. Okay, so they are the
Ah, I
ones who
see. Right.
interpret what the bishop
It
says, what
works
the
both
pope says.
ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important. I mean, as we were comparing this to a big corporation, it might sound like the priests are the low thing. No, 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 no. Without the priest, the
There's nothing.
communication from the bishop to us would not work, and from us to the pope would not work either. So
Hmm.
they are the most important thing. I mean, not the most important, but
Well, it's part of the
one thing
whole
without the other wouldn't
part
work.
of it. Yeah. Okay. Well, Francisco, what else do you have to add to this
I
wonderful explanation that you gave about everything?
I hope we have clarified a little bit of all of this complicated world of the hierarchy on the church. And well, it's been a great pleasure. I've loved it. You know, I love talking about all of this religious stuff.
You do. Yeah. And hey, guys out there, just to let you know, when Frank and I we have the brainstorming about themes, whenever it's a religious theme, I always tell that's yours. You have gonna have
Yeah.
the leading voice here.
No, it
We
is
have
that
to. Yeah.
we
Go ahead.
have so many topics.
Yeah.
There's some things that you, Jorge, are stronger at. There are other things I'm stronger at. So for us, I mean, really, this podcast, I don't know about you, Jorge, but to me, it has become a great learning
Oh,
moment
absolutely. Yeah.
because
Totally.
I learned
Yeah.
so much from you. I mean, it's incredible how much you know about topics that to me are like, I have no
Well,
idea.
I mean, this is both ways. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean,
Um,
sometimes you are a master in some fields, and your explanations are fantastic. And by all means, you know, whenever there is a religious issue, that's yours for sure.
no, no, no. But I think it's once I was asked on one of my tours, and how do you guys decide who talks on a
Mm,
podcast?
mm.
Because sometimes you have the leading voice, sometimes I have the leading voice. I think it comes very natural with the two of us.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, we've been
absolutely.
friends for long,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, that's for you, that's for me. So
At some stages, I think that I know more things of you that your wife does. You know, at some
yes,
stages. But
there's sometimes my wife is like, Jorge knows too many weird things. I'm like, I know. He's like,
Anyway, we just want to thank to Mary Silverman. That was the one who brought this issue up. Thank you so much for making it, Mary. We will be delighted to hear from you where you're writing from and where your granddaughter is studying in Spain.
yes,
And please, everybody knows our email, which is SpanishLoops@gmail.com. Write to us if you have any, and share with us any photos, any comments that you might have. If you want to suggest a topic,
a
that would be
topic. We love to hear your
yeah. I
topics.
mean, we do
Yes, if
have
you have a
many things
recommendation.
in store, but we also accept ideas, and we have done in a few occasions.
Yeah.
So, well, Francisco, I think that are we done for today?
I think we're done for today.
Okay, good. Well, chicos out
Have you?
there, we'll see you next week. But before that, let me tell you, Francisco website, travelingsteps.es.
And Jorge's website, it is travelingwithjorge.com. If you want to learn about our tours, those are the websites that you guys need to go and check. And you can contact us directly through our Facebooks or Instagram or whatever you guys want to contact us. We love to know about you. Thank you so much for following us. And remember to give us a thumb up. And if you could share this video or this podcast with your friends, that would help a lot.
A lot.
Jorge,
Right.
have a wonderful, wonderful week.
You too, and everybody else. See you next week. Adios.
Adiós, amigos.
And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our talks. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast, no spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.